What's going on, everybody? Hello again. Welcome back. My name is Jeremy. Thank you, as always, very, very much for spending some of your valuable time here with me today. It's whether it's morning or afternoon or evening or whatever time it is, wherever you're at. I appreciate so much what you are giving to spend here with me. So, recorded a show yesterday morning before work, something that felt like it was a really good topic it's really kind of timely in my life right now. And it kind of hinged on the fact that I was going to have a good conversation with my crew about it, and just just struggling with that topic right now as far as how to address it and all that. So that didn't necessarily get done as as well as I was hoping to. I think I've kind of worked through some of that, and we're on our way to getting that taken care of. But as it stands, I didn't really feel like I wanted to put that out yet. So we'll kind of hold off on that one. And something else that really has kind of came to light over the last probably 12 hours, that I feel like it's just something that I need to sit down and get off my chest. And here lately, I don't do a lot of recording at home. I basically spend every minute either working or trying to enjoy some family time. So I've really, really cut down any kind of phone or social media or podcasting and anything at home. And so for me to take a little bit of time to do this, it is something that is really kind of working at me, and that's exactly what's going on here. So that's what we got. I try to prioritize everything a lot better than I used to, and which means, I do a lot of recording at 5 o'clock in the morning before work, or this and that, which makes it really hard to have guests on, because I don't feel good about asking somebody to wake up that early in the morning, especially if it's somebody in a different time zone. I've had a couple people reach out to me that would like to be, that has some things to talk about, and that's awesome. And I definitely will be working on getting that set up. But with kind of my time and family time and things like that, it's just really hard to get those things kind of figured out. So, but definitely something we're working on. I know I enjoy so much having somebody on the show, to kind of shoot ideas back and forth with, and it's just nice to have a conversation instead of me being the one talking. So just kind of wanted to get that out there. I I assume that it's more enjoyable to listen to as well. So I will for sure be trying to get some of that kind of in the works. But so as I'm recording this, of course, I'm just basically shooting from the hip here. But I would assume if you've clicked on the show, or however you got to this point, you've kind of seen the title, and kind of the title in my head now is basically failure breeds humility, humility breeds growth. And so knowing that coming into it, you kind of get an idea of where we're going, and I just wanted to kind of to lead into that with really how I got here. So really been struggling at work, just kind of just trying to find who I am again. And it's so funny because when I feel like I'm growing, when I feel like I'm doing good, it's like before I even can turn around, I find myself in a place of like, gosh, I am a terrible leader. I am a terrible officer. I don't know anything. I can't I can't do this job very good. And it's almost like every time I gain an inch, something slaps me in the face to show me that you haven't gained anything. You've got a long way to go. And so that's kind of where I've been lately. I'm just really struggling with some stuff and feel like the message I'm trying to preach on here is just I I can't accomplish it. I can't motivate people. I can't I can't mentor anybody because I don't have anything to give right now. And so just kind of really been struggling. I'm kind of fighting the the urge to check out and just kind of go my own way for a little bit because I don't feel like I'm growing, and I don't feel like I'm able to grow like I want to be. So just some things that kind of fighting through right now, and mainly just mentally, just with myself. A lot of this is with myself. I've got to figure out better ways of leading, better ways of reaching people, and so that's it's conversations that I have with myself all the time. And so uh, one of my crew members. Okay, so obviously I don't have a very good poker face. If something is bothering me or something is irritating me, I apparently can't hide it well. And so uh, I was he was kind of bugging me yesterday about what's going on, and I just I didn't know how to address it properly, and so I just kind of slow played it and put it off and put it off, and he finally came out. I was just kind of enjoying some fresh air outside, and he came out, sat down, talked with me, and it was nice to just have a conversation about it. And like I tried to explain, yeah, it's nothing that people are doing wrong. It's just something is missing. I'm not doing something I need to be doing. There's just something missing. And so, kind of on my way home this morning, a few things kind of clicked to me, and it was that statement that failure breeds humility and humility breeds growth. And I'll get into that. It's really just the surface of this topic, and I'll get into the second half of that circle a little bit later, because I feel like it is a circular pattern. And so we'll get into the rest of that later. But I feel like that is such a big part of my life are those three things, failure, humility, growth. And I say that because I know I've spoken on it a lot in the short time that I've been doing this over these podcasts, but I feel like I have to. I feel like I need to speak on my failures because it's part of who I am. I don't feel comfortable preaching how to be a leader when inside I feel like I can't do it myself. I cannot stand on a soapbox and say, this is how you do it, this is what works great, or it's a foolproof plan, I've got it all figured out. And knowing in my heart that more nights than not, I go to bed at the fire station thinking I am a failure over nights that I go to bed thinking I did good today. And maybe that's just me, because that echoes life. I would say way more nights than not, I go to bed at home thinking I suck as a parent. I suck as a spouse. I wish that those scales were on the opposite direction. I wish that I could go to bed at night thinking, man, I did a good job today. I was a good dad. I was a good husband. But truth is, I just don't. I feel like I fail so much more than I succeed, and I honestly don't understand it. And I have been so frustrated with myself, especially lately, because it feels like that's just who I am right now. I'm just somebody that it doesn't matter how hard you try, you just can't do anything right. And so, I not to be a Debbie Downer, not to be somebody that focuses on the negative, but I feel like maybe this is my niche in the podcast world. Every time I get on Instagram, I see somebody new posting uh, their new podcast, and I kind of, to be honest, start getting overwhelmed, thinking, why do I have any reason doing this? There's so many people doing it, and I think the longer this whole virus thing goes on, the longer the conferences get shut down and all this stuff, it's just going to keep going and going and going. And that's fine. That's great. Everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a message to give. And that's why I'm here. I'm not here because I think that in a year I'll have thousands of listeners and, this and that. I don't, I don't think that at all. I think that this is a very small kind of arena that I'm speaking to, and that's fine. If that's the case, I'm okay with that. I think that I get as much out of this as I do, hopefully helping others, because it's helpful for me to get these thoughts out. And so anyway, I feel like I have grown so much in the past. If I were to nail it down, I would say probably the past 8 months, 7, 8 months have been a very highly concentrated area of growth for me, career wise. I, I just, some things were put into play that just really spurred that kind of time of growth for me. And it's been so awesome to be a part of that and to see that. But at the same time, that growth hasn't come without some pain. It hasn't come without some embarrassment. And and so that's kind of where I'm going with this is I've never really thought of it before. I've never really heard it put in those terms before, but ever since it kind of came to me this morning, it just really clicks to me that so so when I fail, it makes me more and more humble every time. Me sitting here speaking on this, I hope is a sign of who I am. I'm not somebody that is a big self promoter, obviously, but at the same time, I know who I am. I try to be very real and very honest about that. I know who I am as a leader. I know who I am as a man, and that's not perfect. It's definitely not a finished product by any means. I have kind of came to the conclusion last night that I'm going to have to revamp some things. I've really tried to lead through empowerment and kind of stand back and respect others and trust that they will respect me back and that things will get done. you know, for the most part that happens. But without some type of accountability, without some type of way of making sure that that stuff is getting done, it starts to fade away. And I think that's where I'm finding myself, is that I have become a little too lax, a little too trusting, a little too just stand back in the shadows and let my people lead at the station. I think I'm definitely, it's come to the point where I'm going to have to be more present, more vocal. And so, that's just another area of growth. I've got I've got 4 people that I'm responsible for. It ranges everywhere from one of the newest firefighters on the entire department a to basically the senior firefighter on our entire shift. That's quite a range. And I don't have to tell anybody that is involved in some type of organization or family or whatever that has more than a couple people, that you put 4 or 5 people in a room, you're going to have quite a range of personality differences too. And so even in a small group like that, it's so challenging to be able to lead in a way that you challenge everybody the same, you reach everybody the same, you bring everybody up to their full potential, because everybody does things differently. Everybody is reached differently. Everybody has different ways of things speaking to them differently. So, man, right, right when I feel like, gosh, these past 6, 7 months have been awesome. I'm on such a great path. I'm growing so much as a leader. I'm doing great things. Boom, shot to the stomach, and I'm down on the ground and realizing that I'm not doing great things. I'm failing as a leader. I'm failing as a teacher, and I'm failing as a mentor. And so that failure, like I said, is leading to some humility, a lot of humility. And I've kind of spoke to some things in my home life, my family life, that basically mirrors that. Mistakes I've made at home, and being humbled, and just really finding out that I've got a long way to go, and that I've got to work harder, and all that stuff. And it's just it's amazing to me that it's like the same things go on at home that do at work, and it's two totally different environments. It's two totally different, just situations, but it's the same thing. I am expected to be a leader at both places. I have great, great responsibilities that I have to fulfill at both places. And people depend on me at both places. And in both places here lately, I am not making good on my end of the bargain. And so, you know, that's where that failure is. And as I'm sitting here, what I'm doing while I'm recording this is basically sharing my humility, so that in hopes of gaining that growth. Because if I truly believe, if you don't have humility, you cannot grow. If somebody that thinks they know it all, if you are somebody that thinks they've seen it all, done it all, whatever, if you don't have that humility, you're not going to grow. It's obvious. If you've done it all, you don't have any room for learning anything else. That's the mindset you're taking into whatever you're dealing with. And so I think that right there proves instantly that without humility there is no growth. And and I think humility comes natural for some of us, but for others, it takes that failure to really knock us to our knees to say, okay, hold on. What just happened? I thought I had everything taken care of. I thought I was doing good. I thought I had this whole leadership thing tied up. I thought I was an awesome dad. I thought that I was a husband that any wife would want. And boom, that failure wakes you up, or I hope at least it wakes you up, because that's exactly what it's designed to do. And so failure, humility, and through that we hopefully can achieve some growth. And man, I like I stated, I feel like I've done so much to better myself in the past 7 months or so, and that's absolutely the truth. But I feel like I can't really compare myself to 7 months ago. I have to compare myself to yesterday. I feel like that's what we all have to do. We can't compare ourselves long term. Yes, we can celebrate those growths, those long term achievements, goals, all that. Okay, you can sit and say, looking at the person I was 3 years ago, I couldn't recognize that person. Look at me now. Look at how far I've came out of that comfort zone, and look at the people that I've reached, and the lives that I've touched, and my story has helped so and so. That's great. That's something to celebrate. Those are awesome things. But what have you done since yesterday? Yes, you may have grown immensely in 3 years, but the last 3 months you have fell into a slump and dragging the bottom. So comparing yourself to 3 years now is not what you need to be doing. You need to be comparing yourself to yesterday. What can I do today to make myself better than yesterday? Yes, it's okay to be proud of the long-term growing that you're achieving, but I think that helps us to fall into some complacency when we start seeing the bigger picture of this type of conversation. It allows us to say, hey, I'm doing good. I'm doing things right now that I didn't even think about a couple years ago. Yeah, I'll get that. But you haven't done anything to grow in the last 2 months. So what does that tell you? Yes, it's good, but you're falling into the same patterns that got you back where you were 3 years ago. So if things don't change, that's where you're headed. If you aren't growing, and I don't really want to use the term dying, but if you're not gaining towards growth, you're slacking towards failure. And so that's, I don't know, just to me, this whole thing of this statement that I've been saying over and over again, it is just, it's huge. And like I said earlier, it's a circle. And so I'll kind of get into that. So basically you got your failure, you got your humility that comes from it, and then you got your growth that hopefully will sprout from all this. And so once that happens, I'm looking at my notes to make sure I say it right. So with growth, of course, you gain confidence, and confidence is a great thing. We thrive when we're more confident. People, we just fulfill our I'm trying to think of a better way to put it, but with confidence, we can do anything better. I guess is the easiest way to say it. And so confidence is a great thing. But what happens when that confidence turns to ego? It starts turning to a not a great thing. That's not a good thing. Ego turns into complacency, and everybody knows what complacency breeds. as soon as you as soon as you get into the realm of complacency, what are you headed for? You're headed for failure. And that's the circle I'm talking about. So just starting from the top, you got failure, you got humility that comes from that, which breeds and 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 sprouts growth. Growth comes confidence. Overconfidence, we start getting an ego. With that ego comes complacency, and complacency, we're back to failing. And I think this is a great way to look at life, because this is the life I live. At least, I've talked on failure in my own life a lot today, and I'll say it again. I just sometimes look around and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Am I the only one that is screwing up this much? I mean, seriously, can I not freaking do anything right? And I feel myself saying that. I'm like literally saying that to myself. And if I allow that to not turn into a positive, if I allow that not to humble myself, if I allow that to not occur and sprout growth in my life, then that's where it ends. It ends in failure. That's where the story ends. And obviously nobody wants that to be the ending. I want it to cause humility in myself. I want it to cause growth in my life. And so that's the balance. I've spoken on balance a lot and in a lot of different areas, and everywhere you look, there's balance. There's a balance to be had in every aspect of your life, in every aspect of every aspect, at home, work, parenting, being a spouse, everything. There is a balance to everything. And finding that balance in this circle is staying around that being humble and growing phase. Yes, it's good to kind of start working towards the confidence, but that's the tipping point right there. Where does that confidence lead, or when does that confidence turn into ego and start falling off the end back into failure, complacency and failure? And so, I think this is a great topic for discussion. I think it's a great topic to provoke some thought in everybody. And I hope that this kind of sparks some things in you like it has me. It really has. And I think there's a lot to it that maybe I can do some writing and kind of dig into it more. But I just feel like there's a lot there that can be helpful. And I hope, I feel like these are the kind of areas where I start talking in circles and start kind of beating a dead horse if I don't start wrapping it up. So I'll start wrapping it up and concluding. But I really hope that something I said today spoke to you. I know there are a lot of people out there that probably feel like I do, that it just doesn't feel like anything is going okay and not going right. It feels like the harder you try, the farther in the hole you get. The harder you try, the worse mistakes you're making. And so, if that's you, I truly believe that I know, or that I feel exactly what you're feeling. And also believe that if I'm trying to do the right thing, if I'm trying to make good choices, if I'm trying to be a good leader, if I'm trying to be a good officer, a good husband, a good dad, and I truly care about those involved in whatever of those aspects I'm talking about, if I truly care and love them and do all this for them, that good things will come of it. I just have to keep trying. And so, if that kind of speaks to where you're at, please, please know that just keep pushing, keep going, keep making good choices. If you mess up, apologize, take responsibility for it, and try hard to make it better. That's all we can do. And so I will leave you with that thought. Just kind of keep your eyes open. If things are starting to fall apart for you, if you're making mistakes, let that humble you. Feel the weight of those mistakes and those failures. Just make sure you take the time to feel that. Because when you feel it, when you truly understand and comprehend that this sucks, I screwed up, I made a mistake, I didn't do as good as I should have, that failure will help you to gain humility. And what happens at that point is good stuff, because that's where we learn, that's where we grow, and that's where we start to change things, make changes, make things better. And so it's okay to fail. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, and I feel like that's all I do is talk about it. But maybe that's my thing. Maybe my niche is to speak on how real people are making it through life right now, because that's all I care about. I have no interest in putting up a facade of being a great this or that. I, I I don't have any intentions of ever being a perfect firefighter, or have any techniques that are new, or anything. I don't. I am who I am. I think that I have some things that can really benefit somebody. I have some skills and some abilities that are good, that I can share, and that can maybe help somebody. And I'm just, all I can do is try my best to use them. And sometimes when I try my best and things don't go great, maybe that's for a reason. Maybe the mistakes that I'm making, that's what's helping somebody else. Maybe it's not the times when I think I'm doing great that's being so helpful to others. Maybe it's the times when I am failing that people are learning from. Maybe it's the times when I admit that I am not a very good leader. I didn't make a very good choice as a leader. Maybe those are the times that I'm being the most helpful to others. So no, you cannot avoid these topics, because these are the topics that could be the most helpful to others. Help others learn from your mistakes, help others learn from your shortfalls. Because if you don't, you went through whatever that is for nothing. You wasted that embarrassment, you wasted that humility, you wasted it. And so just keep plugging away. If you have any comments, concerns, thoughts, stories, as I like to say, I love hearing from anybody out there. It makes my day to hear somebody out there listening, that something kind of spoke to them, and really kind of keeps me going. So please reach out to me if you have the desire to, please share, comment, whatever else on the show. If there's somebody out there that you feel this may speak to, please share it. I would love to reach more people than what I'm doing. It if this is the level that I'm peaking at, then that's great. But any new listeners out there that I can get is very appreciative of me or from me. So thank you so much again. I hope you have a great rest of your day, whatever that entails, and look forward to getting back to you next time. So until then, stay safe and take care of each other. Thank you.